Hello, everybody. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I would like to share some unfortunate news with you guys about my MBK Monterey Bay knives mini old guard. This is the ZDP 189 and double natural micarta variant. In my time owning this thing, it has been absolutely terrible. The fit and finish is dog water. Really, the only thing saving this knife and keeping it in my collection is the design. I think it's absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. It's simple and it works. And the cool factor to the blade, the way that it looks, and the material that they're using, the ZDP 189. As you can see, super high edge retention steel down here, and then cheapy steel just that it's sandwiched in between. If I had a better quality camera, you'd be able to see the difference on that spine there. But let's just get into the review here. Let's start with a couple size comparisons. Unfortunately, guys, I wasn't able to find this exact model anywhere. I don't know where people were buying these from, but I'm glad that I didn't know about it, because I'm seeing what the regular one goes for, a full-sized, also, double-sided micarta variant. The full-size sorry, the full-size old guard is $225. This is a $100 knife at best. And do understand that I did purchase this on the secondary market from Lee over there at Love Them Knives. This has nothing to do with him. I love him and his channel. He sold this knife for one of his Patreon members, because that's one of the services that he provides, which is awesome that he does that. So this has nothing to do with him. He wouldn't have really known that. He probably didn't even have this knife for very long. It just came in for the purpose of actually selling and providing his service to his Patreon members. So a couple size comparisons here. Let's do my Spyderco's, the Para 3. Paramilitary 2. My Benchmade's Osborne 940. My Bug Out is definitely a lot closer to the Bug Out. The Bug Out's just a little bit longer. Has a hair bit more cutting edge too. I think the reason why I do actually enjoy the the visual dimensions of this knife and actually carrying is that it does actually feel pretty good in hand. Last couple here, my Civivi Elementum. Again, very similar, just like my Bug Out. And then Demco AD 20.5. So there you guys go. And these 6 knives are a good, healthy mix of knives to visually compare to. Let's do thickness up against the Para 3, because this is really the only stock knife here. Well, that Demco 80 20.5 is also stock too, actually. There's that, and there's that. It is practically the same. The only difference is that you get wonderfully contoured scales here, and this is just flat G10. So, well, there's that. I guess we could do blade stock thickness too. I don't have or own calipers, but the thickness pretty much starts the same on both of these. It looks like the Para 3 is just a little bit thicker, but not really. It's just that this has a sharp spine, and this has a very well, I wouldn't say completely rounded off spine, but it's a lot smoother. It's just a higher level of finish to it. But you see how the thickness comes pretty much all the way up to the tip. This is definitely a user, and this is a little bit for more delicate tasks. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. And let's just take a look over this thing real quick. Nice, right? That is the lockup. Solid. Hasn't really moved much since. This knife is really a slow roll knife in my experience. I have to put way too much effort into opening this knife, and I don't like looking like a cliche knife guy that's about to, like, you know, open a knife and shank somebody. You know, I like to be able to, you know, flick it out, do my thing, and then put it away, because I don't care to, you know, scare people in public. So I don't want to have to like really, you know, use my whole arm to get this knife out. It is on washers, and I have seen other people, including Kevin over there at Lefty EDC. He took apart a titanium frame lock variant. It might have been the mini, but it was actually on dual washers, which I thought was pretty cool. I've never really seen that before. This one only has the one washer on each side. So that is a big part of why the action is the way it is. It just feels very, very poor. And what sucks about it even more is that when I get this knife, when I get the blade where it doesn't have any play, like this has a significant amount of play. You can't really see it on camera, but I can feel it. Well, maybe you might actually be able to. You might see the blade actually moving between the micarta scales right there. If I tighten this, kid you not, like a 1/10 of a turn on the pivot, it becomes so hard to actually roll out that it won't actually lock up completely, and it'll actually disengage if you tap the spine. It just becomes impossible to comfortably roll out. It doesn't feel like it doesn't give me that like overbuilt hardcore hard use knife vibe. It gives me poor fit and finish vibes. That's what this gives me. The screws back here, everything here is T8, which is awesome. But one of the screws was damaged, stripped, and I believe it's that one. That's why it sticks out significantly further than the other ones do. I've tried to crank it down a little bit more, but with the titanium backspacer here, there are these little barrels that these screws, you know, meet, you know, in on both sides, and I can't undo it without having some pliers to actually, like, you know, hold on to the little barrel, and then, you know, have pliers here, have my tool here, and actually undo it. So that is pretty shitty. A good note is that it came perfectly centered, and it's still perfectly centered. I've taken apart this knife probably about 4 times. I have cleaned it multiple times as best as I can. Another little thing about poor fit and finish, these are inset steel liners, and while they do have weight relief, and you know, that's typically something that's on more higher end production knives, there is a lot of wiggle room between the actual steel liners and the micarta, the space that was cut to accommodate for the steel liners. They don't sit tight enough that actually inspires confidence. Like I said, this is really, really short video. It's mainly going to be about things I don't like, unfortunately. It's easier to mention the things I do like. I like the cool factor of the blade material. I like the design and how it feels in hand. That's about it. Everything else is absolutely terrible. The action is horrible. It's very difficult and uncomfortable to flick out. I shouldn't have to put that much effort into it. And it only looks this smooth because I have the pivot very loose. And the scales, the thumb studs are very close to the scale, so it's kind of difficult to get a good bit of momentum to get it out. Like, I have a pretty strong reverse flick or middle finger flick, and just holding my wrist steady, not trying to open this knife with any wrist, that's it. That's all I can get it out. And so it's awful, you know. If I were to tighten this to the point where there's no play, then it becomes horrible to open and close. It doesn't lock up, which poses a huge safety concern. And at the price, it's awful. It really is. I have seen maybe 2 other people on YouTube post their experiences on a mini old guard. One guy had a black micarta variant. He was just shitting all over the knife. He was right. I read all the comments and everybody was just like, poor fit and finish, dog water customer service. I bought multiple variants because I love the designs, but I returned them all because they're all the same. Locking issues, tension issues, all this kind of stuff. One of my longtime viewers, he mentioned to me on my unboxing that he has a passionate hate towards MBK. He received one without a detent supposedly. Like, how do you miss that? How does that pass quality control? That is terrible. And then another YouTuber posted a video. They had a really nice, I believe it was like a paper micarta or ivory micarta. It was like this this cream yellow looking G10 kind of handle scale, but they had the same, everything else was pretty much the same. You know, the satin ZDP 189 blade and tie clip and all the same hardware and all that kind of stuff. The only difference was the scale color, and he said that he had a lot of locking issues, play and tolerance issues, and he just wasn't really happy. But he did like the design. For what this is, even brand new, I would definitely not recommend this knife. And even looking it up on MBK's website, this doesn't exist. I don't know who makes this. There are 0 specs. That's why I haven't talked about any specs. It's like a 3-inch blade, 7 inches overall, something around that range. And the weight, I can't really give you guys that either. Unfortunately, I don't have the little scale, but it's not heavy. It's not super light either. It feels quite standard. It's not noticeably, light or heavy by any means. But I was expecting so much more out of this. I've seen so many YouTubers talk good things about like the frame lock variants or the ones with carbon fiber scale on it, and they don't really say too many bad things about it. But there are more horror stories for whatever reason about the inset steel liner lock variant versus the titanium frame lock variants. I'm not too sure why. This was a terrible experience for me. Using this knife and testing it, it did collapse a couple times in use. Thankfully, I didn't get hurt, didn't get cut or anything. Not a big deal. But that is the first time a knife, since I have started my nicer knife journey, this is the first time a knife has ever actually collapsed on me in use. I tightened down the pivot to where it didn't have any play, and it felt good. I thought I had locked it out, but it didn't. Tried to close it, and yeah, it just didn't close up properly. So it closed on my finger, but thankfully I hadn't sharpened it, and it had the edge that it came with from LTK. So that's my review. That's my spiel on this thing. My experience with this has definitely tainted the way I look at MBK, unfortunately. But I will still say that a lot of their models are very attractive looking, and if there is anybody out there that has a really nice example of what they are capable of on the positive side, feel free to reach out to me and maybe I'll be able to check it out. If not, no big deal. I might purchase one in the future And then if I don't like it, I'll just put it up on NAF sale and take a little bit off for, you know, just to get it, you know, back out into the market and off my hands. This, while I had not the best experience with it, I will not be putting it on NAF sale because this would be, I would have a guilty conscience if I were to sell this thing, because knowing the problems that this thing, you know, that I've had with it, I would feel bad about selling this to somebody. And I paid almost 150 bucks for this. Yeah, that's a no-go for me. This little guy, don't recommend it at all. I would say stay away from it. Steer clear from this specific variant. I don't know how the other models are. With time, I'll, you know, check other things out. But for now, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day and take care.